A very good morning to all the students of class ninth. And students, as you know, we were doing the second chapter of a geography book, and the topic which we were taking up was the major physiographic divisions. So in that I told you there are six type of physiographic divisions which we have to study in this particular chapter. And the first one was the Himalayan mountains, second is the northern mountains, then the third is peninsular plateau, and the fourth one is the Indian desert, then the coastal plains and the islands. So these are the important physiographic divisions of India. So we were trying to understand that the first one and the most important was the Himalayan mountains, which we have completed in the last lecture. Okay, so we have seen the complete formation and location of the Himalayas, and also we saw the three important ranges, parallel ranges of the Himalayas. But today, now we are going to study the second important physiographic division of India. Those are the northern plains. So today we are going to understand that what do we understand and what is the location of these northern plains and how they were formed. Although in your book directly they had given the information regarding the northern plains, but here I would like to discuss some of the important features relating to the formation of northern plains. Already we have done it, but in particular we have not done for northern plains. We had seen the formation of Himalayas, how the movement of plate tectonics and the plate Indo-Australian plate and Eurasian plate, how the collision was there and the formation of Himalayas were there. So today we will try to understand the formation of northern plains also. You can see this map. This is your NCERT book, and this is going to be helpful for you to understand the major physiographic divisions of India. So basically, we have discussed this region of Himalayas and these three ranges in detail. We have seen that. Now, beyond this, south to of the Himalayas, if you see this region, you have seen the northern plains. From this you can see the Indus River in tributaries, and much of the parts of this northern plains is also a part of Pakistan now. So if you see this northern plains, this region, and extending to Assam till here, you can see Brahmaputra river. So and we know that formation of these northern plains, rivers has played a very important role. So if you see this region northern plains, you will find so many rivers descending from the Himalayas. So these are the Himalayan rivers and their tributaries, which have played a very important role in the formation of northern plains. So basically we are going to study about this region, why we call this as northern plains. Okay, and what is the role of rivers here. So you can see so many rivers here. Okay, so I'm going to explain this now. So you can see here the northern mountains, and that today's topic, before starting this topic, the northern plains from your book, I am talking about the formation of northern plains. So all this happened, as you know, there was a collision of Indo-Australian and Eurasian plate. We have studied in the formation of Himalayas, and because of this collision between these two tectonic plates led to the formation of large basin at the foothills of the Himalayas. We know when these two plates were coming together, suppose this is Eurasian plate, this is Indo-Australian plate, when they were coming together, there was the formation. When there was folding, there was formation of mountains, and when this was folding was forming the mountains, this part is called anticline. But on the other side there was a depression. Okay, and this depression is called syncline. Okay, so this is very relevant that these became mountains, that is the Himalayan range we are studying, and the depression part, the deep part, which was a part of this collision, this deep part was called syncline. And slowly, with the help of the depositions of the river and deposition of the sediments brought by the Himalayan rivers, these syncline regions were filled with sediments and it took millions of years, and finally this area became the northern plains. So from the Indian point of view, from the map you can see this is the north part and this is the south part of India, south of Himalayas. So these are the Himalayas and this is the northern plains, which was formed by the deposition brought by the Himalayan river. The sediments got deposited here, and this region is called syncline. This is anticline and this is syncline. This was because of the plate movement. Okay, and you know about this plate movement because we have talked a lot of about all these in last 3 or 4 videos. and that is why in due course of time, so it took millions of years, this depression got filled by the sediments brought by the rivers coming from the Himalayas. This I've explained you. So this is the map I have drawn it roughly. So actually we are going to study about this region particularly, which we call as northern plains. Okay, and how they were formed, we can see the formation of Himalayas led to the formation of northern plains. So they are very closely correlated, interrelated. Because of the formation of Himalayas, there were the decline, many rivers were formed, and because of those rivers, a lot of deposits and sediments were deposited in the depression region, and this region became the northern plains. So you can see the area between the Himalayas. If you see the Himalaya location of Himalayas in the north and the peninsular plateau, this is the peninsular plateau. This region, middle region, this is this region between peninsular plateau and Himalayas, here were Himalayas. So Himalayas and Peninsula, the area between these two is called south, is called filled with alluvium deposits. And the deposit, the sediments which were brought by the rivers, those deposits were alluvial soil. That is why it's written alluvial deposits. So this region got filled with the alluvial deposits, and this is how northern plains of India were formed. So this is all about the story of the formation of northern plains, which was not a part of this topic, but I've given you a rough sketch so that you can understand that. So now I will be starting the content from your book, which is important for you to learn. Yes, now I'm starting this topic from your book, The Northern Plains, as we have seen the formation of Northern Plains. So the Northern Plain has been formed by the interplay of three major river systems. So as I told, the formation of Northern Plains, three river system has been very important: the Indus, the Ganga, and the Brahmaputra, along with their tributaries. So all these rivers and their tributaries have played a very important role in the formation of Northern Plains. This plain is formed of alluvial soil. So if you say, you talk about the soil, what type of soil is there in the northern plains? It is alluvial soil, which is very fertile in nature, and it is very good for the agriculture. The deposition of alluvium in a vast basin lying, this vast basin is the same thing which I had discussed you, syncline. This was a depression area which got filled with sediments slowly with the passage of time at the foothills of the Himalayas over millions of years. It took millions of years. That vast basin, that depression got filled with the deposition of alluvial soil, form this fertile plain, and it is very fertile. That is why it is called fertile plain. Fertile means this soil is very good for agriculture. It spreads over an area. Now you will see the northern plains, it is spread to the area of 7 lakh square kilometer. You have to remember this. From 1 mark question it can be there. So 7 lakh square kilometer is the area of northern plains. The plains between the plain being about 2400 kilometer long and 240 to 320 kilometer broad. Now this is the distance. If you see, like we saw the distance of Himalayas from this Jammu and Kashmir to Arunachal Pradesh, in the same way if you see the distance of northern plains for the Punjab region to Assam region, it will be around 2400 kilometers long. And if you see the width will be 240 to 320 kilometer broad. It is densely populated, and there is a reason why it is densely populated, because it is a fertile land formed of alluvial deposit, which is very good for agriculture. So most of the states of like Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, and West Bengal, some of these states are totally dependent on agriculture, because the land here is very fertile because of this soil, and this soil is brought down by the Himalayan rivers. That is why the population is very dense, with a rich soil cover combined with adequate water supply. There is a lot of abundance of water supplies. As you can see, so many rivers descending from the Himalayas and their tributaries as well. And the climate is also favorable. So it means that the basic conditions which we require for a good crop, like a good soil, alluvial soil, climate, water, everything is favorable in this region of northern plains. It is agriculturally a very productive part of India. So if we talk about northern plains, it is very productive in terms of agriculture. Okay, now let's understand this part. The rivers coming from northern mountains are involved in depositional work. As we know, the rivers flowing down the Himalayas, they are doing the depositional work because they are flowing in such a speed that they carry lot of sediments, gravels, sand with themselves. Okay, so they do the depositional work in the lower course, and when it comes to the lower course, due to gentle slope, now the slope of the river decreases, and when it enters the northern plains, so the velocity of the river decreases. It means the speed of the flowing water decreases, and because of this decrease in the speed of the water starts depositing the sediments it has brought with itself. And because of this deposition in the lower course of the river, that is in the northern plains, you will find the result is formation of riverine islands. Okay, so now I'll tell you what do you understand by riverine islands. This is a part of the rivers coming down from the Himalayas. Okay, and forming riverine islands. Let's understand what is that. You can see here the example riverine islands. Rivers deposit sediments in the middle of the river, which leads to the formation of land. In the middle of the river starts depositing its sediments. Okay, and because of the slow velocity, flowing water decreases, which leads to the formation of riverine. Previously the river was flowing in this direction, it means it was inclined, and the velocity and speed of flowing water was very fast, so the sediments could not be deposited here. But once the river comes to the lower course, that is when it enters the plains, the velocity and speed of the water decreases. Now this speed decreases, and the sediments which it had brought slowly comes here and settles down at a particular place in middle of a river. Now this sediments form a piece of land, and this land is called, like, it's like island because it is covered with all the sides from the water starts flowing from these sides, and there is so much of formation of sediments, gravels, stones, that it becomes a land area. Okay, and this land will be called river in island. So whatever the land formed between the river is called river in island. Okay, so this is just because of the speed of the water. Here when the speed of the water decreases, sediment starts to deposit here. In this do you know column, you can see here it's written example Majuli in the Brahmaputra river. If you talk about this Brahmaputra river in Assam, especially in the region of Assam, you will find this Majuli is one of the largest inhabited riverine island in the world. It is inhabited where people are living. It has this deposition made by this Brahmaputra river in the area of Assam. It is such a huge deposition of the gravels, of the sediments brought by this river. It had formed a huge riverine island there, and it is inhabited. It means people are living there. And recently in 2016, this Majuli has been declared the first district around the world. There is no district if we call it in terms of riverine island. So this has become the first district, okay, in 2016, and it is one of the biggest riverine island in the world. So this is called riverine, as I have explained you in the diagram also. Now move forward. The river in these lower courses is split into numerous channels due to the deposition of silt. This you know. When the river comes to the lower course, as I told you, the velocity and speed of the river decreases. Now it start depositing the silt and the sediments which it has, and because of that deposition, these channels are known as distributaries. Now river starts to distribute water. You can understand from this example, previously the river was flowing down the Himalayas, its velocity was high, but now it has come to the lower course, and it has entered the plains. Now the velocity of the river will decrease. When it will decrease means minus. Okay, so now it will start depositing its sediments. So from here, this main river will break into various channels, and this is called distributary. Tributaries, when the main river join the small river join the main river, these are tributaries. But when the main rivers, because of the slow velocity and deposition work done by the river, it start breaking into various channels. This is called distributary. Now moving forward to the next topic, that is this northern plain. You can see, as I've told you, this is the northern plain region of India. These are the Himalayan regions. Here we saw so many ranges, but roughly I have drawn. This is the northern plain region. So this northern plain is broadly divided into three sections. Like we saw, Himalayas also was being divided when we moved from west to east. In the same way, northern plains are also divided into, that was divided into four parts. This northern plain has been divided into three parts. One part is this. This is called the Punjab plains. This is called the Punjab plains. This region is called, till here, this is Punjab plains. This middle part is called Ganga plain, and this last part is called Brahmaputra plain. Brahmaputra plain. Okay, so this has been divided into three parts. The northern plain is broadly divided into three sections. The western part is called the Punjab plains, and it is referred to as the Punjab plains. Why? It is formed by the Indus and its tributaries. If you will see, this area has been formed by the Himalayan rivers and its tributaries, that is the Indus and the its tributaries. And which are its tributaries? Anyone can see? Here the rivers are not there, but in the river map you can find these rivers, the tributaries, that is the Jhelum and the Chenab, Ravi, Bias and Satluj, which are one of the Himalayan rivers. This section of the plain is dominated by Doabs. So this section of the Punjab plain, it is dominated by a Doab. So what do you understand by Doab? So Doab is a land between two rivers. So if two rivers are flowing and the land between those two rivers, it is called Doab. So we are going to understand and read about that. So first of all, you should remember that our northern plain has been divided into three parts: Punjab plains, Ganga plains and Brahmaputra plains. So let's see some details of Punjab plains, Ganga plains and Brahmaputra plains. So as I told you, the northern plains is broadly divided into three sections. The western part is the northern plain, is referred to as Punjab plains, as I have told you. It is formed by the Indus and its tributaries. The largest part of this plain lies in Pakistan. The Indus and its tributaries, the Jhelum, the Chenab, Ravi, Bias, Satluj, originate in the Himalayas. This section of the plain is dominated by Doabs. So let's understand Doab further. It is given in the do you know column. So when we will talk about Punjab, it means it is mostly dominated by Doabs. So Doab is made up of two words. Do means two and ab means water. To water. So the land between two water bodies or the two rivers is called Doab. Similarly, Punjab is also made up of words. So Punjab means, Panj means five, Ab means water. So Punjab is a land of five rivers, as you must have heard. So the area of Punjab, including the area within Pakistan, this entire region of Punjab is formed by the land between five rivers. Okay, so that is why we call it Punjab. So you will find many Doabs when you will talk about this Punjab plains. So now moving forward to the next set or the section, which, as I told you, the Ganga plain extends between Ghaggar and the Tista river. So you can see and locate these rivers in the river map. So between these two rivers, the area which is called Ganga plain, it is spread over states. So if you see the which are the states which come between this river Ghaggar and Tista, Haryana, Delhi, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, partly some part of Jharkhand and West Bengal to its east. And particularly in Assam. So up to this you will find the region that is called Ganga plain. But you will move forward, particularly the part of Assam which lies the Brahmaputra plain. So if you talk about Brahmaputra, it is a major part is with Assam, the state Assam. So with this we have completed three sections. The northern plains are generally described as flat land with no variation in its relief. You must have heard, and many pictures you have seen, when we talk about northern plains, we imagine and we think and we assume that the land is completely the same throughout the northern plains. But that's not true, because vast plains also have diverse relief features. So we will see various features within the northern plains, the region of northern plains, that also has some different relief features according to the variations in relief features. So we'll see various variations in the relief features. The northern plain can be divided into four regions. So this on the basis of the relief. Now before this we had divided the northern plains on the basis of area, that is the Punjab region, the Ganga plain and the Brahmaputra plain. But on the basis of the variation in the relief features, the northern plains can be divided further into four regions. So let's see what are those four regions which we see on the basis of its relief. Okay, so the rivers after descending from the mountain deposit pebbles in the narrow belt of about 8 to 16 kilometer. So in width lying parallel to the slopes of the Shivalik, it is known as Bhabar. So the first variation in the relief system which we see in the northern plains, we find Bhabar. So let's understand what do we understand by Bhabar, and then what do we understand by Tarai. So let's understand first of all these two regions. When we talk about variations in the relief features of northern plains, we find Bhabar also and Tarai also. So we'll understand Bhabar and Tarai with the help of the diagram. So as I told you, the rivers after descending from the mountains. So when the rivers descending from the mountain, it means coming down from the mountains. This is the first range of Himalayas, Himadri. This is the Himachal range, and this is the foothills, or this is the Shivalik. Okay, so this is the shortest mountains we see. These are the three ranges. So many rivers descend from these mountains. These are the Himalayan rivers. When these rivers descend from the mountains, they bring lot of pebbles, gravels, and sediments with themselves in all the regions. So we have taken just a part of this example. So when they become bring lot of sediments with them, what happens? They deposit that sediments at the foothills. So they'll start depositing the gravels, stones, pebbles at the foothills of the Himalayas. This is called the foothills because these are the Shivalik range, and from here the plain region starts. The northern plains starts from after Shivalik. So here the rivers become bring lot of boulders with its pebbles and start depositing in this region. So it will keep depositing, and you will see this region is around 8 to, if you travel from this region to this point, you will have to travel around 8 to 16 kilometers, and you will find these pebbles and this deposition work done by the Himalayan rivers. And this is region is called Bhabar. So at the foothills, deposition made by these rivers and pebbles collected by these rivers is called Bhabar. So here you will find the rivers disappear. When rivers enter this region, the river or the water, you will see it disappears because a lot of stones are there, pebbles are there, water flows under them. So if you will see, you will not be able to locate water clearly. But once the river water crosses this region of Bhabar, it enters into the region of Tarai. So after this region of Bhabar, where the river is not visible, it re-emerges. It's written rivers re-emerge in this part, and this part is very swampy, wet and marshy. That is like in Hindi we call dal type. Okay, so a lot of moisture is there in the land, a lot of forest wildlife you can see in this region. So after Bhabar, you can see the after crossing Bhabar, the next region you will find is Tarai. Okay, where the rivers re-emerge. So this is called Tarai. So you can see here all the streams disappear in Bhabar. In Bhabar, all the streams disappear, which you have seen in the diagram. South, if you move south of this Bhabar belt, you will find that the streams of the rivers re-emerge and create a wet, swampy and marshy region known as Tarai. This I have explained you. And this region of Tarai, this is thickly forested region full of wildlife. Previously, this region used to be very thickly forested and full of wildlife. The forest has been cleared, but now forests have been cleared for agricultural land and to settle migrants from Pakistan after partition. Okay, it's written here for you. Locate Dudhwa National Park in this region. So this is a part of northern Uttar Pradesh. You'll find a wildlife, or the you'll find national tiger national park, reserve park, that is called Dudhwa National Park. This is in the northern UP. Okay, very close to the border with Nepal, this region. The largest part of northern plain is formed of the older alluvium. So if you see, if you talk about the whole northern plains now, so the whole northern plains is formed mostly of the older alluvium. It means the sediments which were deposited millions of years ago, that is called the older alluvium. They lie above the floodplains, but now they lie above the floodplain of the river and present a terrace-like feature. It means the deposition has been made into so many layers, one after the other, that it has become very high. Now rivers are flowing under that. This part is known as Bhangar. So this part is called Bhangar, the olden alluvium part which has been deposited millions of years ago. This is the old alluvium soil. This is called Bhangar. And if we talk about the soil in this region contains calcareous deposit locally known as kankar, and in this region you will find deposits of calcareous, that is a formation of calcium with mud. Small boulders you will find, those are very soft in nature, you can break it with your hand if you want. So this is called kankar. And the newer younger deposits of flood plains are called khadar. And the new deposits, the new sediments which are brought by the rivers continuously, that area is called khadar. It is very close to the riverbed. Okay, and the area very far from the riverbed which has become like a terrace, it is called bhangar. And the new area very close to the riverbed and very close to the flood plains, it is called khadar. They are renewed almost every year, and they are renewed every year because every year there are floods, and with flood there are a lot of new sediments brought by the Himalayan rivers. Okay, so that is why this idea of intensive agriculture, that is why this land is very intensive and good for agriculture, as this fertile soil keeps on renewing every year.